What's up everybody, BATJAC J.W. Thanks for clicking on this video. I'm a big fan of snub nose revolvers. If you're a subscriber of my channel, you probably already know that. Anyway, we're taking a look at a cool old vintage revolver, man. It's a Colt, boy. Oh man, when you mention that name, I tell you, it usually means some collectability, a lot of money and all that, a well-made firearm. Anyway, yes, this is a Colt Agent. It's an interesting little revolver because snubby, because this one kind of comes from that line. If you're familiar with the snubbies, there's the Detective Special, the Cobra. There's a lot of different ones that they were doing, and a lot of different variations of them. Okay, there's a, of course, there's the Diamondback snubbies, the Python snubbies, but we're talking about your standard ones that most of the cops would have carried back in the day. And of course, they did carry a lot of the detectives. The Diamondback and the Pythons. If you actually watch some of the old Dirty Harry films, it's really cool to see those pop up. In fact, I think Steve McQueen in Bullet carried a Diamondback snubby. Really cool stuff. But these ones here, this the Agent comes from the line where we're talking about the Cobra and the Detective Special and whatnot. These are real classic revolvers. Now this one here is an aluminum frame. It's a lot lighter. It's definitely, and it's going to punch a little bit more when you shoot it. But of course, under that kind of circumstances in a defensive situation, you're not really going to notice that too much. Okay. Now, a little bit about the Agent, the lightweight Agent. It is kind of more of the affordable variant of the Cobra. And the Cobra, I guess, and back in the day, I guess, was a little bit more expensive and all that. But when they came out with the Agent here, they wanted to kind of streamline the gun a little bit. And in fact, I'll show you a little example of some of the. Here they are side to side. You can see. Just although they did say that this one here is supposed to be a little bit more streamlined, I think is the term they use, than some of the other ones without the shrouded ejector and everything. For my thoughts on it, they're both the same frame size. They're both D frames. Maybe the grip is a little bit more sleek in its design than versus this one. I think they shortened the grip on the Agent there, and of course you see the shroud over the ejector rod versus the Detective Special, and I believe the early Cobra models as well did not have that. It was the ejector rod just kind of free floated out there, which left it open. If the gun got dropped or whatever, it would bend or get damaged, and might actually render your gun kind of hard to eject the shells out of there. If it's bent pretty bad, you may not be able to use it at all. You might have to kind of hope those shells come out of there easily if you're firing it and you got to reload. So that's kind of a look at them. Yeah, I mean, if you get them both in your hands, I know sometimes on video it doesn't really serve much justice, but if you get them both in your hands, the Agent does appear to have more of a slick design, a slick feeling. Like you could definitely, this would be easier to carry out there. Carry, if you would. Okay, so back to it. Again, it does feel like this one would be, it has more of a slick look to it and feel to it. It's kind of hard to really explain that without you actually holding the two in your hands. You'll kind of see it. Maybe you can see and tell by just looking at the comparison there. But all right, so the early ones of these, which this is an early one, the finish is nicely polished and everything. They started to, I think it was the last 4 years of production of this gun, which they were made from 73 to 86. That is 1973 and 1986. They toward the end there, the last 4 years, they started to use a more of a matte finish, like a parkerizing finish on these. And that's actually usually what you see when you check them out at an auction or whatever. Usually you do see this one, the polished one. I'm just saying it seemed to me, the times I've looked it up, the parkerized ones were the ones that showed up the most. Okay, now those were made again through the later years of the production line. So it's a neat revolver. It does have a punch when you shoot it, obviously because of the lightweight frame on it. it's not that doesn't have that beefy weight to handle that recoil. So you're gonna feel the recoil a little bit more. It is a 6-shot. That's what the thing I like about it. I like these old 6-shot revolvers. I used to have a Model 36. I liked it too. It's a 5-shot, but there's something sexy about the 6-shot. And for a 6-shot, again, it's really compact for a 6-shot revolver. I don't have the biggest hands in the world, but you can just kind of, maybe that's a better comparison. So it's fairly small. All right, now in comparison, I'm going to go ahead and back the camera up here a little bit. Let's compare it to a Smith & Wesson 6-shot. This is a old Model 10, or pre-Model 10 for that matter, 1948 vintage. And yeah, you can see kind of how much beefier this gun is to that one. Yeah, there's an interesting thing. Smith & Wesson kind of had like a partial shroud, or just a different way to protect the ejector rod. You can see it there. It just kind of comes out to there. This one is completely enclosed, and then of course the Detective Special is just kind of floating out there. But although this silhouette of this gun, move this out of the way, if you actually just look at the silhouette of that became a classic look in a lot of the old black and white Bogart films and whatnot. So, but yeah, you can see this kind of more of a hefty difference. Give you kind of a look like that. Look at that grip. That's a heck of a difference there. So there's where your example is trying to slick it down as far as everything. Grips on this gun is actually really nice. I really like them, and they're in really good shape. They're not worn down. Usually they're kind of worn. My Detective Special is definitely worn. It was definitely used. I would say this gun was not carried much. It doesn't even really have a turn ring, and that's just kind of something that would happen to revolvers. You get that ring that leads from lockup to lockup. Okay, so. All right, so also a little tip, an extra thing, when you're closing revolvers, you should always try to close them by the crane here, pushing them in there. It just, because you're pushing it over here in a cylinder, I mean, not saying that you're gonna like damage the thing right away, or I mean, just, it helps with it helps just not tweak it so much. When you're coming in from this way, they say you can, you might bend some stuff or whatnot. It's just it's just like an old rule of thumb kind of a thing. So I usually close them like that, or try to. I'm guilty of pushing the cylinder myself. Another thing you can notice, the gun is unloaded. We've checked them, the space, you can always check between the crane and the frame when you're buying some of these used ones, and see if there's any kind of a large movement or gap between the two. It can tell you if the gun has been kind of, somebody doing the old spin the cylinder and snap it shut. Oh, it makes me cringe when I see that kind of stuff. But this one's really nice. It's really mechanically sound. You can hear it. Just locks up nice, and that's the other thing. When you close the cylinder, make sure the cylinder is properly engaged there. So trench sights or fixed sights in the back. Nothing special. There's no adjustable sights or anything like that. But really cool revolver. Just kind of wanted to show it to you. The Colt Agent 38 Special. And it is in that lightweight frame. So I wish if you ever see one of these things, just pick it up, because it's like, wow, that's a heck of a gun. All right. So the only other thing about Colts that I noticed that I didn't care for as much is Colt always, it seemed like they left the flats of their hammers exposed metal. And you can see this one actually has some tarnish or rust that was a one-time present there. And it's not, because it's just unfinished. It's not, so if you were to like, say, eating potato chips or something and handle this part, yeah, you might get it rusty, or just left it, or just carrying it around. This is exposed. You might get some rust, as this one apparently had. It has been since then removed, but they've always left those flats always unfinished. I noticed that. Even their single actions are like that. Their Python is like that. So, and I've seen Pythons where this same issue is there. It's got some rust going on there. So anyway, well, I'm gonna cut this video off. There you have it, the Colt Agent in high definition close-up, little chat about it. Again, snubbies are like my favorite revolver, so I love collecting them. Just there's something cool about them, nostalgic if you will. But yeah, anyway, I figured I'd show that one to you. I'm BATJAC J.W. Thanks for watching. Thanks for clicking on this video. Thanks for watching it to its entire end here. Subscribe if you're not. Check it out. And I'll see you all later on another video.